1 full week of training camp in the books at Ohio State, and 3 position groups have met with the media at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center.
You can't keep getting away with it.
That is just a remarkable coincidence.
Unbelievable.
Welcome to 3 Things Thursday on the Beat. He is Birm. I am Austin Ward. And yes, 3 things will be discussed. Probably more.
Yeah, probably.
Because it has been a busy week for the Buckeyes. It's been fun so far. We're not going to be out here for Big Ten bus tour. That will be on BTN today. Some all access, probably some more interviews with Ryan Day and Matt Patricia and Brian Hartline, if I had to guess. So you can tune into that. Or you can listen to us project what might happen there.
We were here in 2021 when C.J. Stroud and Kyle McCord were in an intense quarterback competition to become Ohio State's next starting quarterback after the departure of Justin Fields. And that day, Big Ten was here, Big Ten Network was here. They brought their buses, they brought everything. And then Ohio State was like, CJ's not going to practice today, and did not throw the football. And we're like, this day, which on its face seems like one that would be pretty cool and informational and helpful for the Big Ten Network, actually turned out to be a complete waste of everyone's time. So kudos to Ohio State for saying, you guys don't need to be here for this because we're not doing squat.
Yeah, and they're not going to show you anything with the quarterback competition that is ongoing.
Which makes you wonder. Here's my first thing.
Okay.
Because Wednesday, the Big Ten bus was in Happy Valley, PA.
Okay.
And the comments there were that it was the best Big Ten team they've seen since the 2019 Ohio State Buckeyes.
Really?
Do you believe that? Or are they going to say the similar things about the Ohio State team once they're here on Thursday?
They're going to probably get to Columbus and be like, you know what we said about Penn State? Scratch all that. The coaches were right to have Ohio State number 2 and Penn State number 3. I bet that they probably won't say that because there are... And I think maybe when the media AP poll comes out on Monday that the order will be flipped because there just is this element where you've seen it with the way too early top 25s, the media coverage, everyone wants something new and shiny to emerge. Yeah. And this would be a great story if it went Michigan, Ohio State, and then James Franklin put himself amongst the elite college football coaches. Well, he's not one of the elite college football coaches, and that's not going to happen. So I'm not surprised at that coverage, but I think that they may have to update that list once they get to Columbus. But I will say this, if they're going there and they're Wednesday in Happy Valley and they're watching Drew Aller and seeing a veteran quarterback, that's probably a situation where they're not going to see as much consistency as from Julian Sayin and Lincoln Keenel. It's like that's the reality. That, of course, won't keep anyone from talking about Ohio State's quarterbacks, but I think for this episode of a 3 Things Thursday, we can move on from that. Take one day off from the quarterback competition.
You know what I like about reality is that it can be whatever you want. Yeah. One frame you can be watching us and we're over here. The next frame you're watching us, we're over here.
How do we get here?
Well, because sometimes a porta potty truck drives through and you're forced to move. No, this week is moving week for Ohio State. So that's the perfect segue. Matt Guerrieri apparently has been dubbed the originator of the term around here. I've heard it before, watching golf and whatnot. But 3 Things Thursday. This is my first thing.
You're picking them this week?
I'm throwing this at you.
Oh my gosh.
What position group needed to move the most in the first week, and which one do you feel most confident has done so?
I think I have the most highest confident level. Really
confident level.
Really crushing that.
Yeah.
Confidence level that needed to do it and did it is the defensive line. But I took those on the stock watch, so I'm not going to rehash all that. I do think that it's been validating so far for the Ohio State offensive line. If you're going to win a national championship, if you're going to win the Big Ten again, if you're going to beat Michigan in late November, it's not just the defensive line that has to meet that challenge. It's also the offensive line. You win Big Ten games in the trenches. That's not new. I didn't come up with that expression or that approach to winning football games either. But, everything that I projected for this group was that it could be the deepest that Ohio State has had. And this is a unit that is 9, 10, 11 guys deep that can play. I would say there's still something that has to be settled because movement week has included, Ethan Onyanwa and Austin Zerveld both playing left tackle. Ethan Onyanwa getting reps at guard, moving Luke Montgomery around. You have Josh Padilla who can help at center. You can move Carson Hinsman to guard. There are options and opportunities for Ohio State to move that all around. And I think the only reason that I start with them there is the depth piece has been exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I think that it's also encouraging to me that Ohio State feels like it can tinker with the positions because you have the flexibility to do that. And when we talk about cross-training, when Tyler Bowen has talked about that, when Justin Fry did that before Tyler Bowen was hired, when Ryan Day has zoomed out for a big picture perspective and said you got to find lineman number 6 and number 7 and not marry yourself to one spot. Secondary positions has become the new buzzword. It's frankly remarkable because all I was told, Birm, was that the cupboards were bare and that Justin Fry couldn't recruit and that they had no idea what they were doing on the offensive line. If you look out on this field right over here and you watch any practice and you see 11 guys that can play, clearly that wasn't the case.
No, they look good. They look deep. And again, maybe it's folks will consider it revisionist history. Justin Fry did get a lot of accolade at the end of his time at Ohio State, helping lead the team to a national championship. But they certainly look like a group that you can count on. And that's most important, I think, for this team, because while we're not talking about the quarterback competition, it is about consistency.
You have to protect the quarterback.
You have to protect the quarterback, and you has to be consistent. And Julian Sayin can't be consistent if he's constantly running for his life. Lincoln Geenholz can't be consistent if he doesn't have any idea where pressure's coming from. And so these are the types of things that the offensive line is helping those guys. And all week long, I think we've spent a lot of time talking about the quarterbacks, but to me, that is still the group that needed to make the biggest push, because whatever ends up happening here, whoever ends up being the winner, and again, preface, we all believe it will end up probably being Julian Sayin. He has to take it. He has to earn that job. It's not going to be just handed to him. And if it is, then there's a much bigger problem here to begin with. So for Ryan Day, I think the conversation between Ryan Day and Billy Fessler on Tuesday when we were out here seemed pretty important. It seemed like they really began to see Julian Sayin evolving a little bit into this more vocal, this more front-facing leader. And I think that that's probably, to me...
Do you think that they see that, or were they challenging that?
No, I think that they're seeing it. I mean, I did ask a few people on Tuesday. I'm not shy about my theory that Lincoln Geenholz and Bryson Rogers confirmed it last week on the first day of practice, that there's a different confidence in the huddle, he said, when Lincoln's in there. I believe that there's a segment of this team that believes in Lincoln in a way that overshadows maybe his shortcomings as a quarterback. And so I think that, there's a natural assumption that maybe Julian's not doing these things. Julian doesn't have that natural leadership ability. And I asked people, I said, hey, am I wrong? Am I way off base on this? And they said, yeah, you are. Because in the locker room, in the weight room, these two are not being viewed differently by the team. Now, they have different styles. Certainly. One's from California, one's from South Dakota. This is about as different as you can get. Mm-hmm. They're both from SD, one from San Diego, one from South Dakota. They both play QB. But other than that, they're pretty different. And I think...
I thought you were going to get a third one for 3 Things Thursday.
I thought about it, but I couldn't come up with one.
Okay.
So honestly, to me, that's the best thing that's happened in the last few days. And I think the thing that needed to happen was that the things that Lincoln does best, he's bringing that out of Julian, and vice versa, because Julian is teaching him about footwork and about release and about how to,
flick and follow.
The flick and follow. So these are the things that Lincoln didn't have the opportunity to really be taught up, because he didn't have a private quarterback coach his whole life. He was playing other sports. He was doing other things. He was probably rearing cattle. In
hunting, I believe you said.
Hunting cattle.
And also...
He's hunting cattle.
Just hunting.
Wow, hunting cattle. The quarterback stuff I think is pretty important. I know that sounds cliche and obvious, but it's about the personal development, not necessarily what they're doing on the field.
Okay.
Second thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot I had to do this. This is harder than I thought.
This is cool. Yeah, I do. You thought it was easy every week, huh?
Harder than I thought.
And I work on all those intros, and then you just...
No quarterbacks.
Okay.
Biggest storyline of week 1 and why?
Biggest storyline of week 1. It was Edric Houston. So, I mean, clearly, he goes down on Thursday. It's 11 a.m. in the morning. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Can't be this position. But I think we've already talked about that a ton as well. I think the biggest story to watch here continues to be how the configuration works together in the secondary. Because I don't think that there's any clarity on that, nor does there necessarily need to be at this point.
I don't think we're going to get that till August 30th.
Probably not. And it's not, they mentioned Caleb Downs playing in the big nickel. What does that mean, and that's a part of it. It's also Aaron Scott he played well in the 3 open practices that we saw. The conversation about him continues to be really positive. The same is true for Bryce West and some of the opportunities that we saw when he was playing in the not as big nickel, medium nickel.
He's a regular size nickel.
He's a medium nickel.
Medium.
And he
shout out
well.
Sheets.
So he had that. You have Lorenzo Stiles still giving you a veteran option as a starting nickel. We've seen that configuration. Where does Devin Sanchez fit in, and how often will we see him on the field? I think that, I went into training camp thinking it's not necessary unless he becomes the real Jeremiah Smith of cornerbacks. You don't have to force it. You don't have to rush it. Other programs would do that. If you see him taking those steps forward and learning from the 15 practices in spring, which it certainly appears like he did. Now, there is a little bit, again, based on 3 practices that we saw, a little bit of handsiness, a little bit of, he's talked about this himself, I think, going back to March and April, getting lost in coverage. You're seeing him become more comfortable, but he doesn't have to be 100%. You are a 5-star right now, fulfilling your full potential, because Aaron Scott is starting to do that, and you have Jermaine Matthews and Davis Nagbe-Nosen. What I've not seen or heard that I thought we might, based on the way spring went, is Aaron Scott taking one of the top 2 positions there at corner and Jermaine Matthews playing nickel. Now, that could still happen. I didn't think that we'd get 1 week in. It's like, well, Caleb Downs is at nickel now, and Jermaine Matthews doesn't need to do that at all.
Yeah.
They don't have to decide. They don't have to set a depth chart. It does tie into everything that we've talked about with Matt Patricia, that they can put the best 11 guys on the field. That's a coaching cliche, but the best 11 to play against whatever offense you're going to see may well be different every week. And Ohio State, that's a big deal that they have recruited to a level that you have 4 corners you can trust, or 4 options that you believe in at nickel. There is still maybe not as much depth, not as many bodies as you would ideally want at safety. If you stay healthy the whole year, which is a lot to ask at that position given the demands. Caleb Downs, Malik Hartford, Jalen McClain is enough, and Fahim Delane looks like he may be able to, be that 4th one there.
Yeah, Leroy Roker's there, and there was conversation about Devin Sanchez maybe moving to safety because he showed up in a safety team photo a few weeks ago. That's not happening. But to your point, you've got a lot of guys here and a lot of flexibility and a lot of ways to move people around. The question is, how do you find them all a role? And if you don't find someone a role, does that mean that they have fallen off, or someone else has just been elevating themselves? And I think at a place like Ohio State, generally it means someone else is elevated, and that's the positive you're looking for.
Yeah. No, I think that's it, and it's not. I think in 2 years ago, even to some extent last year, when you knew it was going to be Jordan Hancock, Lathan Ransom, and Caleb Downs, all right, but what do you do in this exact situation? And I really, wanted to figure that out. Maybe really 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Jim Knowles, if you're talking about a safety-driven defense, okay, well, what are those roles going to be? Because they seemed much more clearly defined in his system. Now, they were willing to do different things with the personnel, but it didn't seem like there was a ton of we're going to use 6 or 7 guys in the secondary based on these scenarios. And I think I'm okay with it now. I'm at peace with it. I don't know what I'm going to see from week to week from a Matt Patricia defense, and I don't need to see it too deep. I know that there are 12 guys in that secondary they can use, and I'm just really more excited to see what it looks like once you get out into a game.
Yeah, I think that, it is the story of the offseason. I'm not just talking about the story of the last week. We just still have truly no real idea what Matt Patricia's defense is going to look like at Ohio State. None. We just don't know. And every week we'll get a chance to talk to him a little bit more and try to pluck his brain a little bit. he said before, he'd like to bring everyone in and explain it. Okay, so go ahead.
I'm ready.
Matt, we're ready.
I'd like to review the first week of training camp, please.
There's things that we just they don't talk about it. You try to pull it out of guys like we tried on Wednesday out of the linebackers. Hey, how's your role different? Oh, I'm just tackling the football. That's all I do.
Whatever they need.
I'm a team player. And so you're like, cool. I appreciate that. But, we're definitely intrigued by what Matt Patricia can do, because the encyclopedia of defense that he has, it is.
Not calling it
I'm not going to call it that. No, it's a very. It's a guy that has spent decades learning this stuff, and he's got more toys to play with right now than he ever has in his life, and so it's going to be interesting to watch.
What would be your answer to thing number 2?
I think it's obviously Dedrick Houston. The scare that happened last Thursday is certainly the biggest story of the week.
Yeah.
The fact that he's fine.
It's a pretty big story too.
Is a pretty damn big story. But more than that, and this is inside baseball, and I don't know if people like it or not.
Ooh.
When when Edric walks off the field and he goes and shakes every member of the media's hand.
Not every member.
Well, most members of the media's hand, and just to say hello to people. And then he's walking, and it's like he's got Zion Grady behind him, and he's like talking to Zion, like, okay, like it's like a little duckling behind the big duck.
Yeah.
And like it's a reminder for these young guys that like they're still learning a lot about not just football, but about Ohio State, about how to handle who they are and the situation they're in. And so Edric's vibe, man, even if he was, and he's not been able to go full go. He'll be able to, I think, practice full speed on Thursday, today. But like he's still like leading, and in a group that is desperate for leadership. Like I just love to see that, man. Like,
is it because you're picking the things that you decided that you were going to steal the bit and say that today was Thursday?
Yeah,
love it. What's thing number 3?
Oh man, I don't know. What's thing number 3? I'll let you have one.
No, I didn't prepare for this. You said that you were in charge.
Oh boy, I never said I was in charge. I said I was stealing this from you, but I didn't.
Well, when you steal something, you don't generally give it back.
I'm giving it back.
No, you can't do that.
Shoot.
Who is one player that you think needs to maximize the first scrimmage the most? And you can't take a quarterback. We're not doing that.
It's Bryson Rodgers.
Okay.
I think that this offense, it has the potential to be so good if it can prevent itself from boxing itself into a Jeremiah Smith is the only option at wide receiver. And I know...
Well, that's not going to happen.
I know Carnell Tate's very good. I know Brandon Innes is very good. I know Max Clare is very good. But for a quarterback room like Tavian St. Clair, Lincoln Keenholz, and Julian Sayin, like it's about get the ball out quick, right? Okay. So the more guys you have that are open, the more guys that you have that can create space, which I think Bryson Rodgers does outside of, I mean, any wide receiver conversation has the asterisk, which is other than Jeremiah Smith. I don't think there's a player on this Ohio State roster that does a better job of creating space for himself than Bryson Rodgers. He is an elite route runner. He doesn't get a lot of credit from the fan base because he came in the recruiting class with Brandon and Carnell, and then Jeremiah happened and my own happened. Bryson Rodgers can be a difference maker on this team. I'm telling you, we were out here on Saturday watching, and he was just running a little jet sweep. The acceleration that he has and the burst he has is different. And to add somebody like that opposite Jeremiah Smith, where you actually have a legitimate deep threat, I think is a huge, huge piece of this puzzle. So to me, it's not just about like not getting forgotten, because I think that's a piece of it as well for Bryson Rodgers. There's people we've talked about, we always want to leap to the next thing, and Mylan Graham is the next thing. But Bryson Rodgers is still the fourth receiver on this team, and I don't think it's in his interest to let that be forgotten.
Well, I think if he wants to stay the fourth wide receiver, that's why Saturday's important, because number 5 exists, and he's coming. We also saw a ton of, like, in the first 3 days carrying over from spring. Like Quincy Porter,
he's a real deal.
Is a real dude as well. So like, it's not just
Quincy's also taken on the Marvin Harrison, I'm going to work after practice on the Monarch machine by himself guy. So that's also encouraging.
Mylan Graham did that also last week. I don't know how I noticed that, but it just happened to occur. But the point is, if Bryson Rodgers wants to stay number 4, the challenge is not necessarily can you crack the top 3 for him. It is, can you hold on to that spot? Because if you're number 4, you know, it's not a ton of work. Yeah. It's important work. It's 14 catches last year. It's 13 catches the year before. That's how many Ohio State's fourth wide receiver. That's about the ballpark that you live in. But they can come at opportune moments.
Brandon Innes had some pretty damn big moments last year.
Scoring against Penn State, you know, changing the tenor of that game.
The block against Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
That stuff is important to Ohio State. So you have, it's great. You can push and you can battle and you can try and make yourself an option to take some snaps from Carnell Tate or to work alongside Brandon Innes or whatever, however that's going to look. But it's the next wave that's pushing between you. You don't want to get stuck in that sandwich, which is the world where like Jaden Ballard lived.
Well, it's also, I mean, it goes back to what something that Peyton Pierce said on Wednesday. He said his goal every day is to be better than the guys in front of him and to make sure the guys behind him can't pass him. So like he's seeing it, and he's in year 2. He's a starter, according to James Laurinaitis, and he's thinking that. So like every one of these guys has to be aware of it, but you were definitely more aware of it at wide receiver when you have Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter and Phillip Bell and Desi Jones and Bod Penn Miller all right on your tail, because Bryson Rodgers, like these moments matter, and those scrimmages where you're being graded on every little thing, like you have to find ways to contribute other than just catching the football. So I think Bryson is in a position to do that, and I hope he does, because again, I think like it's sort of the mythical Devin Smith position. It's Devin Smithical. Thank you. It's Devin Smithical in that there's always that, well, who's going to be the real deep threat?
Yeah.
Bryson Rodgers has the speed to be that guy.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, for sure. I would probably speculate that the running backs all need a big day. If you're going full contact in a scrimmage situation, you're not hitting quarterbacks, but you could take the running backs to the ground. I think Carlos Lachlan is going to use 2.5. Like, I don't know that Bo Jackson is ready for...
On Saturday or during the season?
During the season. Like, I think it's going to be a rotation that's similar to Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. I think that's the way of the future. I think Carlos Lachlan likes it. I think he's able to implement it in a way that works for everybody. But when it came to, like, the chips are down, which running back is going to be out there, who's most ready to do that, I think there's a legitimate back and forth in... It's not just a competition on the field. Like, it's a conversation off it. Like, you talk to people around the program, it's like, well, right now it's James Peoples. Feel really good about that. And then the next week it's like, don't forget about C.J. Donaldson. Here comes C.J. Donaldson. I think this is an opportunity for them. They're both going to work together. You know, I haven't had a chance to really talk to them about their relationship, how they feel about, you know...
How they complement each other.
How they complement. Hey, you had a great run.
Thank you.
You had a great run. Shout out Mayan Williams. That was... like, we haven't got to that point with them yet. And I'm sure they're okay with it because Carlos Lachlan would not operate a room that didn't accept that this is how it's going to work. But someone wants to be the leader of that room. And I'm of the mindset, and I've told this to you before, I don't know if it qualifies as a bold P or not, but like, I think that C.J. Donaldson is going to take more carries than James Peoples this year. But so maybe that means Saturday is a day that James Peoples puts his chips back on the table and said, nope, remember what you said about me a year ago? That's happening now. And the body changes and the maturity and all the, like, I am growing into that role. I learned from Quinshon. I learned from Travion. I've spent a year with Carlos Lachlan, and now I'm going to go do it. I'm certainly not going to be surprised if that happens. But I think if it's a full contact, full intensity, game-like situation, the running backs are going to have one of the better opportunities of anyone on the field to show what they can do.
Well, and they haven't been hit. So now you're also going to get that wake-up call. It's are you actually ready for this? Because Texas is not going to tap you. Texas isn't playing thud tempo. So I think your idea is probably correct that by the time the season rolls around, it is a two-man rotation with a little bit of Bo Jackson or Turbo Rogers sprinkled in for a change of pace while Isaiah West gets healthy. But the truth is that whichever guy is better that day is going to be the guy that's getting the ball that day, I think. Yeah. And James Peoples certainly entered this offseason with the assumption that he was going to be Ohio State's RB1.
Yeah.
That may or may not be the case because it's not a knock on him if he doesn't. It's to say C.J. Donaldson's run for 2,000 yards in college football, and he looks like a substantially different person than he was when he was playing at West Virginia.
Flash.
Yeah, so it's a good problem to have. I think the key for Ohio State this weekend is just get out of it healthy.
Sure.
I mean, once you're starting to go physical, that's when things can happen.
Yeah.
We're melting out here.
It's very warm on this Thursday morning.
Yeah, woof.
We're not going to be back for the Big Ten bus tour, as we mentioned, so there'll be no snap judgments. I know it's been great for us. Hopefully you've enjoyed it as well on 97.1 The Fan's YouTube channel, 10 TV's YouTube channel, or 10 TV Plus. Or if you've just been listening to us, you don't see that we're melting out here outside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center on a scorching day in Columbus, Ohio. But day off from Snappy Jays. They'll be back on Friday. There might be a special guest for that episode.
Might be a little different face.
We'll see.
Just mix it up.
We'll see what happens. But a long month rolling along here in training camp. Great to be back out here talking about the Buckeyes. Thanks for watching. He's Birm. I'm Austin. This has been the Austin and Birm Show. We'll catch you later.